Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Halftime Analysis. We are joined by Glenn from the Sky Blue Hub today, talking about Coventry. Welcome to the channel, mate. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yep, looking forward to this. It's been a few weeks. We've been busy, so we haven't been able to do one of these, but I'm looking forward to get back into it. So, did you want to start with how Coventry City are doing this season, mate?
Well, when you first approached me to do it, we were doing quite well, and we just before the international break, we just absolutely destroyed Blackpool, and then we've come back after the international break, got absolutely smashed by Stoke, which could have been 5 or 6 or even 7 the amount of chance they had, and then we drew 0-0 at Swansea. So despite that, we're still in with a sniff of the playoffs, which is absolutely bizarre when we were
So tight up
bottom.
there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so tight. It could even get tighter with depending on what
Yeah.
happens tomorrow. Obviously, because we record it Sunday, the game's on Monday, and there's so many twists. And yeah, no one seems to want to nail it. The only teams that are consistent is the top 4. Everyone else below
Yeah.
that's dropping
Yeah.
points. So yeah, it's the worst way because you don't want to get to the last game of the season. Full time, I think, if only, and I've never really had that wick off in terms of
Yeah.
if only. Whenever we've been successful, we've always done the job. I've never
Yeah.
had the oh no, like even last season we tailed away, but it was so many points were behind. It wasn't that close. And I've just got an awful feeling it's going to be 1 or 2 points or something stupid that we're going to miss out by.
Yeah. Good luck for the rest of the season on that anyway, and I'm sure we'll get into all of that in a minute. First, we will get into the hit and miss of transfers in a minute. But as we're talking about Sky by Bet Championship this week, I just want to congratulate Burnley on their promotion to the Premier League. Back in the Premier League, company's done a great job there. I'm sure he's going to win the title this week as well. So just want to say massive congratulations to Burnley. I'm sure Glenn will be joining me on that conversation.
They're not particularly Cov's favourite club after chasing after Callum O'Hare, but yeah, they are. They're ruthlessly efficient. That's the best compliment I can pay them. They're just they never go behind very rarely, and they've got so many good players. And I think it's a testament that they've gone up and they haven't really got a 20 goal a season striker in the team. That's
Yeah,
why they wanted Gyökeres off it, and they just couldn't
yeah,
afford him. So yeah, that they'll do all right in the Premier League. I think as long as they decide to give us Luke McNally back next season, cover off a bit later. Yeah, I don't really care what Burnley do anymore.
yeah. Thank you. And now let's go into the hit and misses. So, did you want to go through your transfers this summer and give me a hit and a miss and why?
I'll start with the easy ones. We signed Teo Adaramello. I feel Ramela. I can't pronounce. I'll just call him Teo. We signed him from Crystal Palace on loan. Really highly rated. Obviously, I run the SkyBluehub page for do a Twitter account. Spoke to a load of Irish accounts who followed Irish under 21s. Real good player. Really good. He played one game against Bristol City, 60 minutes in the League Cup, never to be seen again, and went back to Crystal Palace. And he
Oh,
wasn't great that game, and that was just kind of the story of our start season. So he was a big miss after he'd been much vaunted as the one we wanted. Yeah, he was a spectacular miss. We've signed Sean Maguire in the January transfer window because we literally had no other fit strikers besides Gyökeres. Because Matty Godden and Tyler Walker, unfortunately, are injury prone, and Martin Waghorn couldn't hit a barn door for us, and then's gone to Huddersfield and looks a world beater there, which is just bizarre. So yeah, we got Sean Maguire, which obviously on paper looked a decent deal. We got him to the end of the season. He's an Irish international, played a lot for Preston, played a few positions. He's just not had a run of games, so I'm going to mark him as a miss. But I just think it's a miss just because he's not. He's been unlucky. Godden and Walker got back fit, so yeah, he's another miss. And then really you go on to the ones that kind of divide the Cov fans. We brought in Brook Norton-Cuffy in January, and he came from Arsenal. He'd been on loan at Rotherham earlier in the season. He'd been on loan at Lincoln from Arsenal. Really high rated. We wanted him apparently in the summer. I like him, but I just feel he kind of plays. he doesn't believe him back himself enough. So he's kind of a hit if he did what I've seen him play for England under 20s, and he looks really good. Drives with the ball, really pace, physical, real good technically, and he's a big lad for a 19-year-old. He's really well built, but
Yeah,
he's
he's
just a
huge.
bit
He
not
is big, yeah.
naive on it. So yeah, I think he'll go on and have a good career, but he's kind of not a hit and not a miss. He's not been absolutely
Yeah.
abysmal like Teo, but he's not been a standout if I go on and compare him to like Callum Doyle. So we've got two lads on loan from Man City. We've got Callum Doyle in the summer. We've been after a few lads for Man City. There's a lad who went to Burnley, I think Egan Riley. We're after him. We got Callum Doyle in. Really good player. I think he signed a 7-year deal with Man City in January. I think he'll go
Right.
on and play for England.
Nice.
He's a bit naive. He does get a bit dumb for pace, but he can ping a crossfield ball. He had two absolute great chances to score on Friday's game against Swansea. He hit a volley from the edge of the box, and for a centre half to hit a volley like he did, and he just whistled wide. And you don't expect your centre halves to hit odd balls dropping down on the volley like that. He can ping a ball round. I think the concern was with him being at Sunderland. Sunderland's fans said he kind of burnt himself out. And he did go for a little spell at Cov where he probably played too many games, but we didn't have enough players to put him out. But yeah, wouldn't surprise me if he ends up at Burnley next season. I think Man City would look to possibly loan him out to a Premier League club. And I think Burnley might take him, or he'll go a step up from like a Championship club. I think he's really good. So he's really good. We've also got Josh Wilson-Esbrand. He's kind of a bit like Cuffy. He's come in, he's done some really good stuff. I don't think we've lost a game that he started, but he got sent off on his home debut for 2 yellow cards, and that kind of set him back. He's come back. He come back from a knee injury. But you look at a player like Pep's played him in the Champions League this season against like Sevilla and I can't remember. I think Copenhagen. Like Guardiola wouldn't play him in the Champions League if he's a mug. So I think he's probably not going to come back to Carve, but I think he'll probably go out on loan somewhere else. But yeah, he's good technically on the ball. Probably like a bit like Guffey doesn't handle the physical side. So it's hard to judge him because he's not played that much. But I would say if he plays like he did his last two games, he's a hit for me. So Doyle's definitely a hit on it. And then I'm trying to think else. We've signed Jonathan Panzo. So he's another who's kind of come through because we've got a connection with like the England youth setup. We've got Adi Vivash, who was obviously a coach at Chelsea when their youth team was literally winning everything.
Look at it, it's a really young squad.
Yeah, on it. Yeah, that's probably our weakness. Panzo's kind of been very similar to Doyle. Started really well. Cov fans were really impressed with him. He's left-footed. He's got pace. Good on the ball. Can hit a good pass, and he can hit a strike. I think he scored 3 goals in pre-season for us, and then he hasn't scored. He scored 1 for the rest of the season, and that was against Swansea, which is just bizarre. But he's one I expect more of. But I'm going to say he's a miss just because his form post-Christmas hasn't been up to it. But he's one apparently Rangers are looking at next season, so he's he won't probably come back to Cov. I'll be surprised, but I do think he'll go on and have a good career. I mean, he played in the same youth team that Foden, Morgan Gibbs-White did. I think Sancho, that one that Steve Cooper had that won the under 17. So yeah, he's a good one. So he's kind of a miss, and I don't think I've missed anyone else out, but you probably tell me I have.
I think I think you have covered everyone there. So a mix of good and bad transfers there. But
There's Casey Palmer out. That's the one I missed out. I've just remembered. Casey Palmer, massive hit. The guy came with a real kind of reputation that Bristol City fans didn't like him. Real good player. Shame he got injured. He's brilliant. Some of his performances were really good, and the goal he scored against Norwich in the 4-2 defeat, that's probably going to be up there with one of the goals of the season.
Yeah, I saw that goal because Norwich are kind of my second team because my dad supports them, and I saw that goal and it was a really good goal. Yes. So going on to the games. First game we have, we do it as we normally do. We break it down into certain amount of games. I've picked games out, and we will go through them. So the first game we have selected is Sunderland 1, Coventry City 1. First game of the season. Did you want to get us started on that one, mate?
Yeah, I mean, if you probably said after pre-season and the day before the season started, we were flying. We'd had a great pre-season, hadn't lost, and then Callum O'Hare did his hamstring, tore his hamstring trying to do the. Do you remember the goal that Alessio Russo scored, the back heel against Sweden?
Oh yeah.
Apparently, that's what he tried to do. He tried to replicate that in training, and he did his hamstring, and
Oh,
he never
nice.
gets injured. The guy's literally amount he gets kicked. He gets kicked as much as Grealish does on a level, and he never gets injured. And then he's out for months, and obviously he did his ACL not
Lucky.
long after he come back. But yeah, so that was kind of a bit of a worry because our team is kindly built around him. So we went to Sunderland and was like, I don't particularly like going to Sunderland because they kind of don't like us. They were flying. Yeah, there's a bit of needle between the two clubs. Yeah, over the years, going back to obviously Jimmy Hill and the infamous 2-2 game against Bristol City, and then I
Mm.
remember it more. I think it was 96, 97 where we did the great escape at Spurs, and we kicked off late again, much like the Bristol City game, and relegated them, and they lost at Wimbledon, and we won at Spurs. We hung on. I think we were 15 minutes late kicking off, so they kicked off early, so they were down, and they had to hope that Spurs scored against us, and our keeper pulled, Steve Grisvich pulled a couple of blinders out. So we went there, and it kind of replicated our season. Really, we give a stupid goal away that Simon Moore comes for. Jack Clark scores. He's probably one of the players who's played the best against us this season over the two games. And then second half, we absolutely steamrolled Sunderland, and we could have won arguably. And Victor Gyökeres scores an absolute screamer and starts his run on being probably the best all-round striker in the championship.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a hard game as well. Like, obviously, they've had their troubles the last 3 or 4 years, but they have put a massive step up this year, Sunderland, and they are there or thereabouts for playoffs as well. And they that obviously I follow them quite well because I'm a United fan, and I got Ahmed there,
Mm.
who has been on fire for them this season. Some of the goals he scored, I'm looking forward to him coming back.
Yeah, he literally did nothing against Carv. He was lucky to stay on the pitch because he got in a scuffle with one of our lads because he kept getting nudged. But then he scored a goal in like stoppage time where it was almost like he was on a park pitch, and he just like poof, and he went stop. And literally, when times you just think he's got to be offside, or the ref blew his whistle or something because it was just literally nobody moved. The keeper didn't even move for it, and he just went straight in the top corner. But yeah, he's a good player for them, and I think probably with Sunderland, it's just losing Ross Stewart
Mm.
as kind of, and a couple of other players, much similar to Cobbs, probably just made it a bit harder for them. But yeah, he wasn't brilliant in the game at the CBS, but purely for that bit of magic, you got
Yeah,
to say, wow, you're a
yeah,
bit above championship level.
yeah, definitely. And next game we have is Stoke City 0, Coventry 2. A win at Stoke. You did it. You did it at Stoke, and yes, you can do
It
it in a
was
rainy
it
night in
was
Stoke.
No, it was. It was quite a nice day. It was quite a real good day for us, really, because O'Hare made his comeback. He come on as a late sub, so that was a massive positive for us. Um, and it kind of just solidified up. We were on a nice little run of games, keeping clean sheets, and Jamie Allen nicked a goal, which he'd been very good at doing, which is a criticism of his Cov career that he didn't score enough. This season, he's added goals to his game, which is really good. And then Gus Hamer scores an absolute worldie where he just waltzes through the Stoke defence and sticks it in the top corner. And yeah, he's got that in his locker, and it wasn't the first time that season that Hamer were doing. It was quite ironic with Hamer because he'd only just come back into the side because he got a 4-match ban, so he missed five. I think he missed 5 out of our first 12 games for
Ouch.
suspension, which is thankfully, actually, bizarrely, after that, he's hardly got booked. But he was literally, I think he was near enough on 15 yellow cards last season, which is just
Mm.
madness. He was typical like Brazil. Well, he wasn't Brazilian. He was more like an Argentinian or Uruguayan hatchet man. But yeah, yeah, he was just like just get booked for anything. But now he's kind of eliminated that side of the game, and you see a lot better from him because we need him on the pitch. He's that good. So yeah, that was a good, and we were kind of positive. I think that may well have got us near enough out the bottom three then. So that was a massive start of an upward climb for us.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Great result that. Next, we had another great result against Watford. 0-1 against Watford. Watford have been having a weird season, sacking managers there like normal. You know, we know what they like. They're like there, but they've been having an off season for Watford. But great result for Coventry going to Watford and getting that win.
Yeah, it was a real positive. I think Casey Palmer just started getting into the team then, and the goal we scored against Watford's a great move. It was literally one touch passing, Hamer to Palmer to Allen out wide. Allen crosses it and Gyökeres scores, and that's what we can. That's what we were doing against teams. We were just literally ripping good sides apart, and the amount of Watford fans. They did a Twitter space afterwards, and I listened to it. And the amount of Watford fans that were just like, "Wow, Gyökeres, why can't we have him in our team?" Like,
Yeah.
because I think Ismail Sarr missed one from like 2 yards out, which you'd think he'd never do. But yeah, it was real good result. And it was ironically that we played a young lad, Jack Burrows, as left wing back, total random call, and he played an absolute stormer up against Sarr. So it was really good sign. It was another clean sheet, and yeah, Gyökeres just further enhanced his reputation for the team.
Yeah, yeah, another great result. And then we have what a game we got next. Swansea City 3, Cardiff City 3 at Coventry City 3 at Coventry. Yeah, did you want to get started on the 3-3 draw against Swansea
Yeah,
at Coventry?
it's probably the most disappointing result of the season. And you've got to remember, this is a season where we got beat 4-0 by Stoke. We got beat 4-2 by Norwich. We've got beat 3-0 at Norwich. And we didn't hardly win a game for the first 7 games. It was crazy. We were absolutely brilliant. I think the third goal we scored was like I said, similar to the Watford goal. We just literally cut through them. But yeah, Panzo scores off a corner. Jamie Allen scores an absolute screamer that goes top corner, and then Vic goes through, dummies the defender and the keeper about 4 times and sticks it in. And you're like, wow, we're absolutely cruising. And then Swansea had done it a few times this season. They've come back from the dead. And I always remember, I think it was last season, they played Luton away and drew 3-3. And they just got one, and then the whole atmosphere, and you're like, and
Yeah.
then it went 2, and you went, oh dear.
Oh,
And then it went 3, and you're like, beep, 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 beep.
yeah,
And then we still had a chance to win it in the end to win it 4-3. But it was just, we sat too deep, and it was the way that we were playing, and it worked, but not against the side that are that good at the ball. And they kind of made
yeah,
5 subs and just went, you know what, we're just going to
yeah.
go for it. And yeah, I mean, Pirlo was brilliant. Joe Allen came on and changed the game for them. And then I think they had the young lad who scored, Liam Cullen, who scored for him. I think that might be one of his first goals for him, and he's obviously gone on to be a regular. But yeah, that was just, and we never really recovered from it. It kind of started the demons in it, and then we started leaking goals after being really solid and not leaking goals. I think we went 4 games with successive clean sheets, and then we come back after the international break and we leak goals left, right, and centre, unfortunately, and that kind of didn't help. And I think the problem was we didn't have our experienced captain at Fasdeen. We had quite a young back three, and I think that showed. Even our goalkeepers, although he's 30 odd, he's not been a number one. This is first season he's been a proper number one anywhere, and we probably just missed that little bit of experience and streetwiseness that
Yeah, it looks
we've had
like a
in past
theme going
seasons.
through the whole team. It looks like you've got some really, really good, like young players coming through or on loan, but I think you could use that experience as well. I think that look at what you've told me. I think that's kind of what your team is missing.
When the wheels come, unfortunately, under Robbins, when the wheels come off, they come off. It's literally the out of control train. Once they go, you can't stop it, and that's the frustrating, because we're sitting in stands seeing it happen, and we're thinking you've got to do something, you've got to change it, and then it didn't happen. But yeah, I think you got to give Swansea credit more than Cov messed it up. I think the goals Swansea scored were good goals, and I don't think you could have done a lot with them. They just literally just passed through it and got in the box, and we let them have too many
Yeah,
chances in the
they've
box,
always
and you
been
shouldn't do that.
they've always been that possession passing team, even when they're in the Prem. I know they've had a few off seasons recently, and be interested to see if they come back up because they've not had the best season. But yeah, they've always had that in their tank that they can pass people off the field. It's kind of part of their identity now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's one of them. It's just we have a habit of some monumental mess ups in seasons under Robbins. You just kind of get used to it and deal with them.